How do you know if they are my person or the one? Ooh, good one.
I hate this question.
Yes, because I don't think the one exists. I don't think the one exists. I don't think that there's just this one person that, you know, you're destined to be with. And if you don't end up with that one person, then you mess everything up. I don't agree with that because I think, you know, what's the statistic? 50% of marriages end in divorce.
Yeah.
And I think the reason for that is people fall out of love is what they say, right? Or they think that, yeah, I got the wrong person, so I just need to get the next one right, and the next one right, and the next one right. And there's just this idea that, oh, if there's friction, if there's tension, this isn't the right person for me. And that's just simply not true. Love is a choice. It's not a feeling, because there's plenty of days that I don't feel like loving Savannah, and I know hold on, wait, I'm going, but more days than that, there's plenty of days she does not feel like loving me. Yeah. Absolutely.
Definitely.
Definitely. But thank God it's not about feelings. Yeah. You know, thank God it's not about feelings. I don't feel like going to the gym every day. Many times, and you might not feel like going to church. You might not feel like it. But thank God, God's love towards us is not based on feelings.
Right. So good.
It's a choice. God didn't feel like sending Jesus to die for us. He made the decision to send his son to die for us. So in the same way, love is an active choice every single day. So when you're married, that person becomes you're the one, because that's the person you're saying, I choose you as my one. I choose you as my person. We say that all the time. We say we're a team. These are just affirmations we remind each other with. Whenever there's a fight, it's like, okay, hold on, wait. We're on the same team. Yeah. We both want what's best for each other. We're a family, we do things together, and we're gonna figure it out. You're my person, she's my person. And I know I'm her person. And it's because we both have actively made that choice. Now, when you're single, when you're in that stage of how do I know if they're the right person, you gotta look at the fruit of their life. Only God knows the heart of people, so we don't really know what people are doing. But Jesus says that a tree is known by its fruit. So you can look at the fruit of somebody's life and know whether or not that's the right person for you. Vanna took one look at my life when we first met, and she knew pretty quickly, yeah, that's not the right guy I need to be with, because you could see the fruit of my life. It was wrong people surrounding me, wrong choices. I came to church, but you can be in church and be lost. That don't mean anything. I was in church, but I was far from living a godly lifestyle. So you gotta look at somebody's life. Is there fruit? What does that mean? The fruits of the Holy Spirit. Is there love, joy, peace, patience, goodness, kindness? And here's the big one, I'd love to focus on this, self-control. Is there self-control in a person's life? I've seen so many young people get into trouble with sexual immorality because of a lack of self-control. Oops, I don't know how that happened. Well, you were hanging out in each other's bedroom at midnight watching Netflix. I think we knew what was gonna happen there, you know? And I think we just need to normalize talking about this.
Yeah.
Because it always does more damage. Sin always takes more and costs more than you ever wanted to pay. Always. It leaves you with shame, it leaves you with guilt, it leaves you with baggage that you're not meant to carry.
Yeah.
God created sex. It's a beautiful thing. It's a wonderful thing. It's an amazing thing. And I can't wait for each and every person, when you're married, young women with your future husband, young men with your future wife, when you're married and you get to enjoy that intimacy together, it's a beautiful thing. It's wonderful. It's God created. Anything outside of marriage is sin. Anything outside of that is sexual immorality, and it's always going to cost more and cause you hurt and self-confidence issues. A lot of times people will think that that's how you take the next step in a relationship. Well, to really show you're my person or the one, you know, we've got to sleep together, we got to do this, and it's just such a lie from the enemy.
I actually think that when you take the step of sex, I actually think it shows just how immature your relationship really is, because you have a lack of understanding of depth.
Wow.
And so you think that sex equals depth, or that sex equals maturity because it's what adults do, or it's what people who are in love do. And I actually think that it conveys that you don't know how to go deeper, or you don't know how to be vulnerable, or you don't know how to establish that intimacy in other areas of your life. And so I think you kind of feel like you're out of options. Why don't you talk about the car analogy?
I was just going to talk about it when I was like, this is good. I was like, I'm not interrupting her. I was like, whenever she's done. But if you were to take a 5-year-old and give him the keys to a new car and say, hey, go drive to school today. That 5-year-old, if he could even reach the gas pedal, is gonna wreck. I mean, it's just inevitable. Is driving a bad thing? No. Is that kid a bad person? No. But he's not ready for what that means. He doesn't understand the weight of what he's getting into. He doesn't understand what's going on. So in the same way, I love that analogy that thinking sex before marriage is depth is so misunderstood. It actually does lack vulnerability and true maturity, because true maturity is understanding that 5-year-old's not ready to handle the responsibility of handling that vehicle. True maturity and true self-control, which is a fruit of the Holy Spirit, is understanding you're not ready for that stage of life. There are some moments where you just have to wait for God's timing. It's the way God ordained it. God ordained us to be born, to be children, to have fun, to grow up in a household, to go to school. Education seen throughout the Bible. That's part of God's plan. Dating, compatibility, marriage, leaving your father and your mother and being joined together with your future spouse, one man, one woman. That's God's plan. Being fruitful, multiplying. All of that is God's plan. And when you can operate in the way in which life was ordered to be, you see it's a beautiful thing. When you turn 16 years old, you're ready to get that driver's permit, get them keys, drive that car, and it's a great feeling. It's fun. Yeah. In the same way, sex works the same way. There's an order in which God has created. Anything out of order is going to cause harm to you, to others around you.
How did you know that your relationship was the right one? I think that, that answer kind of goes hand in hand. Practically speaking, just personally speaking, I'll just be honest. I dated around.
Yeah, you did.
Okay. I didn't want to commit. I had commitment issues. I don't know why. But I don't know. I just got bored really easily. And Luke was like the only person that like I wanted to be around. Like he was the only relationship that I had ever been in that was steady. And I think a lot of you can understand this, like, probably most of the relationships that you've experienced up until this point are drama. There are high highs and low lows. They're tumultuous, there's drama, there's emotion. You're screaming at each other in the rain, and then you're crying in your room at night, and but then, they leave flowers on your doorstep and they love bomb you and you're the blah. And that was all I had really known. And so when Luke and I actually got to dating, I was really confused. I was like, this is kind of like, is it boring? Like, why are we not screaming and why are we not crying? Like, no, you were consistent. Like, I never had to guess who you were gonna be. I never had to wonder what Luke was gonna show up that day. I never had to wonder if you were gonna text me back. I never had to wonder if, you went out with a group of friends and I wasn't there, were you gonna be fooling around with someone else? Like, I never had to question your character. And that was something that I never experienced before. And so I think, number one, that was kind of how I knew, is number one, I wanted to be with Luke. Like, I genuinely enjoyed his company. It was easy. Again, our relationship was work. I'm not saying that relationships aren't work. You're gonna have disagreements. You're gonna have things that you don't see eye to eye on. And there are some things even today that Luke and I have different opinions on, but we work through them actively. But I think, I didn't have to question his character. He was consistent, he was faithful, he was loyal, and he always showed up. And the reason I say that is because I think a lot of times when things get hard, people ghost or they just leave. And when things are hard, they don't respond or they ignore you, you're iced out, they give you the silent treatment, whatever. And Luke never did that to me. He was always committed to making it work, always committed to working things through, even if conversations were hard. And so I think for me personally, I needed that. Like, I had never seen any other man do that before. And that was kind of how I knew, like, okay, life is gonna get harder, life is gonna get more complicated. I need someone who's gonna show up even when things get hard. And so that's you. You've always done that.